Time has passed since the monster apocalypse nearly destroyed my world. Now it is merely a nightmarish memory for me, Marcus Shakespeare. Little did I know that the apocalypse was not over, and that my memories of the past may yet save the future. My country had been divided deep for years, and since the current administration came into power, this election year saw it all fall apart. Neither side could take it anymore. War broke out when secessionist forces attacked South Carolina. The loyalist forces of the Union in the cities, which also included some geographically western and northern states, proclaimed support for the Constitution. They faced secessionists of the new Confederacy in the South, who advocated for the president to reign supreme. Here we are in the ruins of a United Forever agency base. I've been digging through the abandoned files here. It turns out, at this place, the Korak Zal were being hunted down here in 2012. But now it just sits here, abandoned. Like many other bases of the World Alliance military across the US. My friend Jake and a young man called Shane told me that they and a number of other men were going to look for things in no man's land that the villagers asked them for. When they arrived, they noted the place had gotten overgrown by a new plant life. We encountered the carcass of a bear, and just then, a number of Kamakura attacked us and several of our soldiers. We hid under some debris, but the Kamakura found us. However, before they could do anything, they were dismembered violently by the plants. Then we suddenly realized it was Biorak. We got out and saw that a giant monster was fighting the Kamakura, but then suddenly Biorak was blasted by a cruise missile. We looked up and saw a hostile Confederate army unit coming our way and exclaimed, "The rebels have returned." When the rebels began overpowering Biorak after setting parts of her on fire, Scylla arrived and held them back, apparently defending Biorak. But it ends up being no use, as the rebels shredded Biorak with a carpet bombing run and injured Scylla. Alright people, here's the operation. In an hour we'll be orbiting over the continental United States. Once the green light is given, the fighters will detach from the Raven station and follow a re-entry path that will take us directly to the Midwest front line. We will jump straight into the action. Once we're down, we'll be under NORAD's jurisdiction and following their orders. We'll be backing up the US Air Force's effort to push back the BRES onslaught. The situation there is pretty desperate as it is. The rebels are still recovering from their defeat at the Northern Kentucky offensive and Nashville. On top of that, that monster attack took a lot of fight out of them. They've agreed to the ceasefire while negotiations continue in Washington. As much as we all do not like Washington's state of affairs right now, we are ordered not to engage any rebel forces. We are there only to intervene against BRES and alien activity at this time. Let the politicians take care of the rest. We'll touch down to refuel on American soil and return back here once we're done. Good luck.
Garuda 1, restrictions cancelled. Clear for deorbit burn. Good luck. Raven Station Garuda 1, copy. Proceeding on course. Hold on, Marcus. What's the SID rep on the Midwest? The BRES jamming rigs have neutralized our air support. As long as they maintain air dominance, it's a losing fight. We cannot lose the Midwest. The Air Force is setting up for a counterstrike now. Our primary obstacle is this EW craft, referred to as Silver Banshee. Task Force Athena is moving to take it out now. This is Boreas. Understand we are upcon to you, over. Glad to have you in our corner, Boreas. The aliens are using electronic countermeasures to jam our comms and guidance systems. The primary craft is at high altitude over Lake Michigan. I need your team to destroy it. The jammer is full spectrum, so unless it's down, you'll have no radio contact. I have air assets to get you close, over. Copy all, we'll get it done. Garuda 1, this is Overlord. We have you on radar. Link up with Sea Fury and proceed with up. Roger that, Overlord.
Sea Fury's American comrade, nicknamed Big Sea Fury for his larger American build. Let's go for it.
Incoming missile! Damn it, we can't take much more punishment. Where are the reinforcements? Athena Fighters, this is Overlord. Objective, wait until Silver Banshee lets out a warning before destroying them with our beacon. Copy all, Overlord. Squadron, clear hot. Engage! Incoming cruise missiles on our 12. Intercept. And so the hunting season begins again. What we're taking care of things in high orbit. We should be fine for now. And here comes another wave. Attack! The frigates are on the attack. X-ray squadron, this is Big Fight. I have entered target airspace. Linking up with you. Or the future guy here. Nice to be flying with you. They mean business this time. We're at the third line of defense. More cruise missiles. Target acquired. Beams are cleared to fire. Concentrate all available firepower on the Mysterian dome. Bandit on my 12, locking on. Magician 1, Fox 3. That's gonna leave a mark. X-ray 1, the Silver Banshee's pulling back. The jamming is letting up. Coming up on the final line of defense. Look what they did. It's unbelievable. They'll answer for this. Listen up. The primary target, Silver Banshee, is on the nose. Located over Lake Michigan. We gotta get through these minutes first. AWACS, this is Wolf 1. Guidance systems are back online. Standing by with a full payload of apparatus, requesting clearance. Wolf 1-1, you are clear to engage.
Wolf copies. Moving to engage.
This is Hammer 2-4, closing in. Incoming! Hold on! Locked on target. I got your back, boss. Alright, do it. Go, 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 go! Get out! Boss is leaving! I'll take care of these saps, Colonel. You go for the lead guy. Scorpion, Sub-Zero here. Interrogative, what's the holdup, over? Stalkers Casavacking have Pavlo crew that went down in the area, over.
Listen up, guys. This is gonna be a tough fight, but we have to clear the skies of these bandits.
Let's put that train to good use and show these assholes that no one messes with America.
6, aim 9, 600 rounds apiece. Desert Rock 1, this is Vulture, solid copy and all. Vulture, this is White 6-1, checking in. Flight of 2 F-15Js, time on station 25 mics, holding at Angels 2 Northwest. Ready for your word, over. 600 feet! Check your 6. Thread the needle! Overlord, this is Delta 5-1, checking in with you. Flight of 2 Mirages, holding area Lima at Angel Stand, ready for tasking. Good work, X-Ray. Regain air dominance over the Midwest and push the front line back to the lane. What's our next target? Silver Banshee's sending signals. Sigurd believes it to be distress calls. We need to strike fast before they can launch a counterattack. Visual on Silver Banshee. It spotted us. It's opening fire.
Rated X-ray. Target point reached. Commencing attack support.
Aim for its turrets. It's sending out a message.
Blaze to collect. Information and engage. Archer copies.
Damn, send out the broadcast. Stop it before it sends out more.
Hurry up! Shoot it! Got it. Nice shoot, X-ray.
Silver Banshee's power core confirmed. This is it. Destroy the core.
Away! Did you farewell, enemy?
Overlord, mission complete. All works accounted for. Roger that, X-Ray 01. Missile strikes confirmed on multiple hard targets in your AO. Primary threats neutralized. Good work, team. That's one for the books. Easy day, Overlord. X-Ray out.
Thanks for coming, Wedgetail. I understand this has been a rough few weeks with all these scramjet missions. Alright, let's turn to the country of the week. Your squadron and several other PMCs, including Scion, have been tasked with protecting Botswana. B-52s have come in from bases in Australia and New Zealand across the Indian Ocean to provide support, alongside the AC-71s, if I'm not mistaken. They're being escorted by Pioneer security fighters, and Major Valoroso is leading in a megafortress. Matter of fact, this operation was her idea.
Even before the start of the new war, RUN forces were waging a campaign against Ouroboros and their ally. The Kenyan authorities were shocked to discover that the man behind the Second Sierra Leone Civil War was not a member of the Ouroboros but of a terrorist group called the Lord's Salvation Army of Africa. The LSAA, an evolution of the once defeated Lord's Resistance Army, was an African supremacist militia that basically wanted to promote all kinds of acts of terrorism just to achieve their goal in uniting Africa under God. The leader identifies himself as the Second Messiah, and is one of the most wanted warlords who aims to purify the African people and turn the continent into a theocracy. He may very well be the same Ugandan warlord who gained a lot of notoriety in 2012. And Ouroboros has supplied them with many things to achieve their goal, from tanks to aircraft. The campaign against them continued until their forces have been pushed back from Kenya and Sudan, through Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia in 2020. I decided to do this properly and fly an ex-Luftwaffe MiG-29, a plane that Africa absolutely adores because it is agile, rugged, dependable. I thought, frankly, if the other two bought anything else, they were idiots. The first idiot, Omega, chose to bring a JF-17 Thunder because of Pakistan's history with insurgent warfare. And boy, did they rag it, he said. Finally, Alamo chose oddly to go for an A7 Corsair from a Greek scrapyard. Arriving at the starting point near to Botswana's border with Zimbabwe, we learned that we would be taking on a journey of fighting the LSAA.
General Sachalotto, sir.
At ease. So here's the situation. The East African campaign is slowed down. Near the Makalikari in Botswana, we've cornered the Ouroboros and LSAA forces. It's up to the Tyrannus forces down there. Along with the upcoming battle, This will mark the end of conventional warfare in East Africa's campaign. A force under General Otto Gazera, the Ouroboros governor of Uganda and the new acting viceroy and governor general of the AOI, was faced with a growing irregular force of Arbenok, and many local units melted away. After abandoning the CAR after the Russian bombardment, the insurgents were cut off by the Belgian and Yastreb-Soa forces, who had defeated the insurgents at the Congo and Zambia. On the 6th of July, Gazera and his African allies have formally surrendered. The colonial battalion changed sides, as did a company of Banda. Those fiends capitalizing on the locals' poverty. Anyway, it looks like the planes are ready to go. Where's Corporal Bly, I say? He was supposed to lead the charge alongside Major Whitaker. Afternoon, General Sachalato. My planes are ready to go. Here and out there. Deal, I don't know how they'll be able to stand it. What must it be like for the poor lads out there on the front line?
Oh, they'll stick to it, sir, for the sake of the regiments.
Yes, the regiment. Yes, I better get the operation rolling. It's the least I can do. Oh, Dio mio. Any way I can improve this hat?
We could try taking the pith out of it, sir.
Most of the men do that already.
So tomorrow we'll be taking the Kalahari head on. Soon we'll be in a position to get those guys once and for all. But we won't be alone, Alimer.
Who's coming with us then?
Some say that he has seen the Lion King 1,223 times and that his best friend is a Cape Buffalo. All we know is he's not Sea Fury, but he is Sea Fury's African comrade. While helping Sea Fury, Omega discovered a new problem. Our jets were low on fuel, and the reserve supply of it that the supply planes were carrying had been used up. The only option left for us was to cut as straight a line as we could through the Kalahari towards the town of Maun. Despite the issues, all three planes arrived at the town of Maun for refueling before they turned in for the night. To prepare for the journey, both Omega and I had to customize our planes for various materials we could find.
Alright, let's get this operation underway, shall we? Oh, the heat. It drives a man mad. Like that Captain Wilcox, the professor. He went as mad as a hatter through the heat. He invented a thing called the smelly phone once. It was like a telephone, only when it rang you could smell it. Said it was for the benefit of the deaf. Shows how dumb he was.
All Scion elements, maintain bearing. We have interceptors coming up the rear. Huntsman and any willing gunslinger in Tyrannus planes vector to intercept before they get close. Huntsman 1, take point. We'll play backup. This is Huntsman 2. Weapon safeties are off. Let's see how much Stratocracy planes pay out. Is our targeting system updated to lock onto the Stratocracy signatures? I've had them programmed in long before we thought about coming this way.
At last, our primary target here in Botswana. Deep beyond the Okavango Delta was a position whose control was needed to launch the final attack against the LSAA. It's defended by a garrison of about 4,000 men, led by Colonel Joseph Gonella. In localities distributed in depth for about 3 miles, the stronghold was besieged by regular Ethiopian and Botswanan forces, led by Major R.J. Whitaker, since the start of the month, and the enemy retreated from the gorge. The besieging forces would later be augmented by the arrival of the Scion and Tyrannus forces, as well as part of the 12th IUN African Division.
To approaching unidentified aircraft. When the night comes, how do we return home?
By midnight's light. Confirmed. Welcome to the Allied Force, Scion. Follow us. We have a temporary landing strip set up for you mercenaries.
Oh, that was some intense flying. Omega was barely flying by the end of it. Is he still now?
Don't know. What's that on the... I can hear something coming. What's that?
It's a plane. It's a plane. Is it? It's him!
Holy shit!
Oh my gosh!
How the hell is he still in the air?
I'm totally disappointed. I'm totally impressed. Look, he's touching down now.
Hang on. He's coming towards us.
No, he's landing. He's landed down, nice and gently. Wait, hang on a second. His brakes don't work. Oh no, he slid off. He's going through the fence.
That was a bad plane to buy.
Well, all I can say is you don't buy a fighter jet to be surprised that it still works after a single campaign.
My one worked the whole way.
Diavolo. There you are. What did I tell you? It started. It's damn gunfire.
That's coming from the cellar, sir.
This internal infernal war will never end. I say, you remember that damn chap who disappeared with all those water pipes?
I knew I could do it. It was all in my head, you know. Professor Wilcox.
He's been down there for weeks. No wonder this place is so damn hot. He's gone and invented central heating.
Above the UN building, mysterious flying spacecrafts different to the ones encountered in the Midwest have appeared.
People of Earth, we are the enemy. We are observers and pioneers. A time of calamity is most upon you. Your salvation lies through absolute devotion.
We are the Raptoran. This place was once our original homeworld millions of years ago. Our homeland, the Sabornan Island in the Pacific Ocean, was a front line for the invasion before. We are requesting an alliance with the Earth once again. If you accept, we promise to help eliminate your world's greatest threat, the Black Reach Eternal Stratocracy.
We are getting news of an official dining between representatives of the Raptoran and the EU leaders. It is to take place at Elysee Palace.
During the conversations with Washington, during the conversation between the UN and the NRIB, our people had uncovered some records of our previous workings in the invasion. Unfortunately, the global pandemic has rendered physical contact too dangerous for the NRIB, and they too were overpowered by the Empire, so they could not dedicate as much resources this time either. But they did offer us a means to craft for ourselves. They had technology and science far beyond our own. Such an offer couldn't have come at a better time. We were actually planning to build an interstellar craft. While chaos was befalling the United States, on the other end of the Pacific, the Battle of Queensland was reaching its height in both the invasion front lines and the election home front. During one of the most debauched and dishonest election campaigns in Queensland history, voters were every day being assaulted with a plethora of misinformation from the parties, both major and minor. Indeed, to our alarm, Ouroboros had insiders in several of those parties, as they seemingly do everywhere. ASIO has confirmed intel that Ouroboros plans to pull the strings to elect a Quisling government. But if they ever thought that two of their insiders would keep their mouths shut long enough to stay undercover, they were sorely mistaken. Disgraced mining billionaire Palmdale and his partner in crime George Downer arrived to retrieve an alien artifact from Ibis, drawing the attention of Ibis and myself. During a brief skirmish in Townsville, Palmdale was unable to take the artifact and captured Ibis instead. Windhover and Elmer snuck aboard Palmdale's BRES spaceship, while the rest of us stayed behind to guard the city. The Woomera squadrons had done their hardest to destroy this millionaire's private invasion plan for Western Australia, launching airstrikes against the smuggler convoys. Nevertheless, that pest refuses to be squashed. He's calling on BRES for support. Intel suggests his alien overlords are sending a special kind of reinforcement. It's time to shut down the mind of a monster. On one front, we have the Black Ghost. If Windhover and Ibis captured the Empire destroyer that Palmdale was operating in, like they planned to, they would surely join the battle that Black Ghost was calling towards. But meanwhile, down on Earth, we have ourselves a statewide battle on the night of Halloween.
All teams, assume attack formations.
Riders of the Apocalypse, head out. The enemy is coming this way. Prepare for war. Ground units in the Bowen area. This is Cylon 6-4. I am in target airspace and awaiting airstrike orders.
These guys have much to answer for, Riders.
Ready for a bloodbath? Firecrest 1, commencing anti-air. Fun begins. These guys aren't normal. They are true riders of the dark. Attack! Scorpius 1, standing by for tasking. Playtime, 1-5 minus. Show no mercy. Rip them to pieces for what they've done. Pray your death comes quick when you see us. Yeah! Distance. Get some! We've got some Hellcat tank drones coming in for reinforcements. They're gonna have to race to get here, though. We don't have much time.
This is Iron Wolf 2, engaging forces near Ravenswood.
What did you guys do to piss these saps off so much?
We tried to kill them.
Yep, that'll do it. Prepare for danger close airstrike.
SAS, we've got Beam Rider incoming.
Crikey, dick. Target hit. Cylon, Fox 2. Scorpius 1, reporting successful joint strike.
No friggin' way. Those guys still aren't down?
Solid strike force. You won't catch me this time.
You have a debt to pay, tyrant.
Chris Windhover, you're supposed to be dead. Am I seeing ghost planes? What's happening here? Damn, Iron Wolf 1 here. My engine's taking too much fire. I'm proceeding on foot.
We cannot let this alien destroyer take the sector.
Alright, Alma, form up on me. Let's take this thing down.
Now we're back in the race! In my friggin' sibling air.
Gentlemen, we're taking down the destroyer and nuclear wind is emerging. All ships, turn up the heat.
Maximum power!
Tyrant's taking a pretty serious kicking from the destroyer.
The tyrant is out.
Whoa! This is Ibis. I'm with the tug. We're falling back and taking defensive position. Okay, oh dear, now the Archon is now crippled. Idiots, down on my ship. Your team and run. Correction, make that us.
Change tactics. Shed the dead weight.
Whoa!
The dead men are flying again.
Hell's bells. The PMC boys are taking casualties. Mars 1, Saber Alpha 3. Use laser fire on primaries. Bring the rain. Be advised, ground teams requesting full power. Copy. Both lasers armed, coming down. That stealth bomb is a Dreamland gunship version.
Aha! NQ first, Stone dead last.
Viper to Wedgetail, the cockroach has been squashed. I say again, the cockroach has been squashed.
Excellent work, Viper. How nice of you to come back from the dead to help us.
Excellent shooting, Windhovers. Nice to fight alongside you. And hope all is going well on your home front. See you next time.
The Halloween offensive was a much-needed success for our beleaguered forces. The political parties backed by Ouroboros lost the state election, and the traitors within were rooted out. The auxiliaries are still lurking in the region around the town of Morani, but they do not pose a threat just yet. The NQ First Party was another Ouroboros puppet. They too were defeated, and the other extremist vermin were either convicted of treason or ran for the hills. A shame we couldn't have a tame, even election, but unfortunately, some parties would rather resort to false news and malpractice. Combine that with Ouroboros' infiltration and the Oceania War, and conflict was inevitable. Ouroboros has lost much of its control on the state for their invasion plans. As for me, I'm on a Bowen holiday.
The monster battles I've been facing have come to a head when Destroyer emerged from the California coastline. It terrified me. AM-07, the very creature that massacred Mohan's science team in North Dakota, had come back to be our demon. It split apart into its aggregate forms and hunted down and brutally killed off the entire team one by one. either by disintegrating them with his micro-oxygen rays or tearing them apart with his claws. The Alpha Radon did arrive, and the destroyers quickly merged together into a flying form and fought back hard. Scylla, despite having been seriously wounded by the Confederates earlier, arrived to help battle Destroyer. Destroyer reformed into his final form and blasted Scylla with his micro-oxygen beam. Radon blasted Destroyer in the back of the head with his fire breath, knocking the evil creature to the ground. Before that monster could stand back up, he was restrained by Biorax vines that suddenly erupted from the ground. With Destroyer helpless, Radon blasted his head off with a blast of his spiral red heat beam, killing him for good. So he's finally gone, for now at least. But he's left so much destruction as he made his way inland. It's just horrible what he's done. Our emergency response forces are at the brink of collapse. And now there's only one thing left: reuniting the states. I learned something through the cyber war. The president secretly planned to transform the United States into the Imperial States, conquer and directly annex all of North America, and establish American hegemony over the Hispanic countries to the south. They will carry out such a campaign of extermination against their enemies that they have no problem tracking down people that might share DNA with terrorists and political opponents and executing them too. Well, Union forces are preparing to mount an all-out offensive to prevent the Confederates from securing Washington, D.C. It's an offensive across the swing states. Or as we call it nowadays, election year. It's true, the massive cyber war is increasing more and more. I've been on the front line for weeks now. From what I've found out, that isn't even all of his plans. He will do anything to put America first. And I mean anything. I've just been in contact with our other cyber war assets, and we're all preparing for a massive cyber offensive nearing Election Day. If there's one thing the Confederates have showed us, it's the threat of being continually governed by an administration that encourages the ugliest forces in American society, that lionize threats of violence against peaceful protests, that tells that there is no conflict between supporting law enforcement and our neighbors, and it insists the best is yet to come. Which, given what we've seen in 4 years, is sounding less like a promise and more like a fucking threat.
What's the hostile air force look like? Multiple rebel squadrons, F-16s, F-15s, and even some F-35s. They're reinforced by at least 5 Russian mercenary squadrons flying MiGs and flankers. Some international mercs are in the game too. We've also got unconfirmed reports that the survivors of Wizard Squadron from the Stroken War is here.
More contacts. Low and hot. Roger that, Weasel. Clear to engage. I cannot save him. There's a lot of these guys.
Under heavy attack. Requesting immediate support.
Desert Rock 1, Saber 6 is down. We need search and rescue staff.
Repent. Magic, this is Jericho 1. How will friendly stay clear of the woodroom and bridge? He's still open. I can't shake him. This is Jericho 2. We've deployed along the river bank are engaging hostiles.
SAM units, we copy.
Tony, I see him. Damn.
Wolf 1 Raven Squadron. Raven, this is Raven. That you, Colonel Bishop? This is Captain Wilson. Good to have you here. We're clear to engage anything and everything.
Roger that.
He's still there. I can't shake him.
Damn. Not good. What are you planning on doing? Lights out.
Shit. This is the Grand Island. We're taking heavy damage.
They're crashing into the ship. Wolf 1. What's your situation, Grand Island?
Our target radar's down. The guns have been hit.
Damn them. I'll get every one of them. Guts, stay focused. Roger.
Damn, how many mercenaries did they hire? Enough to cheat their way to victory, thanks to the traitor-in-chief. Wolf 1, hostiles approaching. Weapons radar active. Affirmative. Wolf 3, bandit at 6 o'clock. Whoa! I've got your back. I've got a tail. Acquiring bandit. Say your prayers.
Enemy target acquired. Lock and fire. Lock and fire. Don't let him get away.
Good kill, Wolf.
He passed us. Desert Rock 1, bandit is heading in your direction. Desert Rock 1, Roger. The ship is taking a beating. Desert Rock 1, turn off. What? Shit! One of those Confederate Falcons went straight into Desert Rock 1. We have multiple casualties.
Guys, we're getting the fun explosion.
Shit! It's no good, Colonel. You won't make it. Damn! Again?
Mayday! This is the Black Island broadcasting on all channels. The acting commander has given the order to abandon ship. Mayday! The Grand Island is abandoning ship.
Damn it! All allies stand by. All allied squadrons. Bandits en route up the Potomac. Damn, not good. Contacts have been identified as Tupolev Tu-160 bombers, probably mercenaries. All fighters, be advised. The Pentagon says keep the bandits south of the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, otherwise their weapons may reach the White House area. Acknowledge, Dark Star. The bridge is our marker. Wolf on to flight. Don't do this together. Star 6595. Bomber is down.
Multiple contacts inbound.
Jericho 1, this is Wolf 1. We're heading towards your location right now. Target down.
Nice kill.
Target acquired. Bombers have fired missiles.
Firing. Missile launch.
Missile intercepted. We got it. Good hit, Jericho. Target down.
Yeah.
Nice. Radar clear. Stand by. Bandit shut down. Only one left. Hostile bombers on final attack approach. Intercept ASAP. They'll keep coming no matter how damaged they are. Shoot them down immediately. Lights out. Target destroyed. Last bandit confirmed down.
That plane's gonna hit us. Commander, be advised. Jericho 1 is taking a direct hit. Dark Star and all air units. All SAM defenses are down. All defenses have been wiped out.
At the apex of destruction, alliances will be broken, and old hatreds will be revived.
This is Sergeant Major Marcus Shakespeare contacting POTUS. It's over, Mr. President. The Confederacy has lost again. Call a halt to your rebels, and I'm sure we can work something out. I'll be back. I'll come back for you all. I'll bring the fire and fury. I have some old friends of yours that want to see you again.
We're back for you, allies.
Wizard!
Time to pay you back for 5 years ago.
At last, it has all come down to this final